Okay. Okay. Hello, we're Fractals and Fragments. We use AM and its pronouns, and then they them is also good to refer to like the collective kind of us as an entity kind of thing. And then we also have soul maybe floating around here. We'll see. Soul is our daemon. We are, in terms of identity, we're a shapeshifter, both us and soul, and we're pluralet. And we are not used to using we us pronouns out loud. We do it all the time on talk, like when we're chatting, but out loud, we'll see how it goes. We might drop off like halfway through. So yeah, we're talking about AAC and also Alterhumanity today. What are our qualifications to talk about this? We consider ourselves to be demi-verbal, which is mostly speaking is good, but sometimes we have issues. Though we also do a lot of forcing ourselves to talk, even when it's not the best. We have had hyperfixation on AAC, where we've done a lot of research, kind of intense, and we also just are an AAC user, as well as being a AAC symbol artist. We make symbols for other folks to use on their AAC devices. We also, as previously mentioned, have speaking issues. Those might show up. So, yeah. In terms of image crediting throughout the this presentation, all of the images are from either drawn by us, but most of them are from the AACIL, which we will talk about later, and they're licensed under a Creative Commons attribution non-commercial license. So, yay. We're going to do a quick note about language. The term, specifically about the term non-verbal or non-speaking, is a term to refer to people who can't talk at all the time, or have all the time no functional spoken language. They might be able to say technically some words, but it doesn't qualify as language. Just making a note of this because the term to go non-verbal has kind of drifted into public use, but it isn't actually the correct term to use to refer to losing speech temporarily. It's also okay if you've been doing that because you didn't know, but just future going on, the correct term for that sort of thing is a verbal shutdown. Or there's also other terms that we have some resources we will put in questions. So we've got two resources, which is a bunch of words you can use to refer to verbal shutdown, and a big master list put together, I'm pretty sure by someone who's nonverbal, with a bunch of posts by other nonverbal people talking about their experiences and why the term to go nonverbal isn't like the appropriate language. So putting those in questions. Oh god. Okay, got it. So what is AAC actually? AAC stands for Alternative and Augmentative and Alternative Communication. I've put them the wrong way around. Augmentative and Alternative Communication. And technically it refers to any form of non-spoken communication. However, it's most commonly used to refer to any non-spoken communication that's used by people who can't talk or struggle with talking. It's kind of divided into three types of AAC, which are no-tech AAC. This is any AAC done just by the communicator and their communication partner that kind of involves their bodies. It's really good for quick communication. Basically, yeah, body language, gesture, non-talking noises, pointing, and sign. However, obviously, it also lacks specificity. A note on sign as a concept for AAC. There are lots of people who use a signed AAC or a sign system as AAC, or might use a sign language as a form of AAC, but sign languages are complete languages and are, technically speaking, different from they're distinct from AAC in the sense that they are complete languages that originate from the deaf community and are not just English into sign. But there are signed communication systems that are often using the signs from sign languages just English into sign. So that's kind of like a note about sign languages and no-tech AAC. There is low-tech AAC. This involves communication aids that aren't electronic or that are really simplistic in nature. It's really good because it can be taken to places where high-tech AAC can't go. And we've got issues of it can easily be overlord, big words. It can easily be ignored or overlooked by your communication partner. We're also going to talk a little bit about the idea of AAC symbols. That's a big thing. That is what all the little pictures you have been seeing on the slides are. These are AAC symbols. They are often put on AAC devices or any kind of AAC to make communication easier. They're pictorial, meant to be representative. A lot of AAC users might struggle with language generally, and so having a symbol to easily represent the kind of concept that's being talked about can mean that you don't actually have to use language, and it can just make it faster because you can memorize what the symbol you want looks like instead of having to like read all words all the time. Some examples of low-tech AAC are communication cards. This is one I think a lot of folks will be familiar with. They're one of the most commonly talked about kinds of AAC, and often people's first AAC is communication cards. Any sort of printed AAC boards, just writing is the easiest AAC to use, we think. Like pen and paper writing, AAC, communication and AAC binders, more complex than just boards, of like multiple pages. You can make complex sentences with them. Letter boards, which you can see the little drawing of the teal person is pointing at a letterboard. And any also simple battery powered things like the yes no button you can see in the corner is also counts or as low tech AAC if there's a little bit of battery. And like those kind of writing tablets that only do writing, they're often counted as low tech AAC or sometimes as mid tech AAC, which it wasn't worth separating into a different slide. But and then there's high tech AAC. This is probably our favorite. It's like, electronic devices and electronic AAC. This includes dedicated AAC devices, a device that only its whole job is to communicate, but it's of a similar complexity to like an iPad or a phone. They can talk. It's really useful. They talk out loud. So you can actually, people don't actually have to be paying attention to you to kind of, like they don't have to, it's harder to be ignored, basically. And so that's really useful. Because they're electronic, they can also be made more accessible. A lot of AAC users have other comorbid disabilities that make communication even harder. So being able to have an additional kind of accessibility added in, you might, a common way is through, they're called switches, and switches can be put in so that people can use it like if you've got limited movement, basically you can control the device using like 2 switches, or you can add if you're blind or low vision, AAC devices can be made accessible through we've forgotten the name of the screen reader. Like you can incorporate a screen reader into an AAC device. There's often a big learning curve. That's the main thing. They're harder to grasp. If you want it to be customizable, it's often a lot of effort to put that in. It takes longer to learn. Some folks also need. Oh no, wait, skipping ahead. there's often a distinction made here between symbol-based AAC and text-to-speech. Text-to-speech is what we're seeing in the chat. A lot of people are familiar with. It's, again, similar to writing, really easy to use. You type your thing in, it talks out loud. Symbol-based is what a lot of these kind of square-looking representations are. Includes a whole lot of buttons with individual words or sentences that have that have AAC symbols attached to them. There is often things are only symbol-based or only text-to-speech, but there are some apps that these days integrate both. Normally they're primarily text-to-speech with a little bit of symbol-based, or primary symbol-based, but you can do text-to-speech sort of thing. The symbol-based is necessary for some folks because some folks don't have understanding or can't read. So you need they need actual the images are necessary in that. So text to speech wouldn't work at all. Some good text to speech apps that we like are Typing Talk is one of our favorite ones. It's mainly text to speech with some symbol based options, which is really, really nice. It's free, we're pretty sure. Speech Assistant, which is not free, but it's very cheap, similar vibes. And then literally if you talk text-to-speech app in your phone app, you'll get a bunch of text-to-speech apps and try out a bunch of them. For symbol-based AACs, Cough Drop is our favorite. We'll be doing a demonstration of that later. But it is... okay, it's free. It pretends it's not free, it is free. We'll talk about it later. It's really, that one's really good. Weave Chat is a really great one. It is made by it's made by AAC users for AAC users, which is really important. Kind of accessibility at the forefront. And then Seaboard is also another free one that can be used in your browser. And I think there's an app also. We have another link. We have a review of someone who's I think, yeah, who's tried a bunch of AAC apps and has kind of done reviews from their perspective, but so putting that in panel questions. I'm gonna drink some water also because we're gonna forget to do that otherwise. Okay, before we move on with the rest of the thing, we're going to talk about maybe not quickly actually, really quickly about just some basic AAC etiquette. How to interact with AAC users. The main thing is that, well, yeah, there are a couple main things. One of the main things, all AAC users are different. Anything we say here might be different for specific AAC users. Always defer to whoever you're talking to, their preferences. And also, it's not true for everyone, but lots of AAC users might have comorbid disabilities that make communication and language additionally harder on top of needing to use AAC. Be patient when talking with people, listen to what they're saying, adapt to their communication needs. An AAC device is someone's voice. Treat it as such. Don't touch it. The same way we don't stick our fingers in people's into people's mouths. Sort of the same thing with touching AAC device. Similar vein, don't look over someone's shoulder when they are typing stuff out on an AAC device. It's sort of like someone looking into your brain as you're trying to form a sentence, because you can see each word being written out. A lot of AAC users will write out the whole sentence and then make the device say it out loud, and so it also can lead people to trying to predict what they're going to say. Some AAC users are fine with this. This is one that some people are completely fine with and they don't care about. That's just generally don't look at it, and if they show it to you, cool, you're looking at it now. It's not a toy. Don't take it away from people because they're using it for stuff. Even stuff like stimming, people will use AAC devices to stim, and even though they look like they're having fun, the same way we get to stim with our voices out loud, people get to stim with their voices that are electronic. And even as a joke, just don't take it away, because it's sort of, again, you don't rip out someone's voice box. Yay. Also, different AAC users have different amounts of speech. It's just the kind of thing, don't value speaking over communication. AAC users will talk as little as much as they want. It's none of your business why why someone can't talk. And also don't like put attention if someone's lost speech, don't draw attention to gaining verbal words back. It's generally just like wait and see when they gain their words back. There's no need to ask them if they've got their words back, and also often AAC users will have mixed communication. They might be able to talk and they might be using AAC at the same time. Also AAC users are, oh no, they're not all adults, but lots of them are adults. And we'll talk about adult topics. You know, they can say they don't have to filter themselves just because they're using a device to talk. Even though the devices do like to censor people, we will talk about that a bit later. Also, don't comment on an AAC user's voice. It's not something they can control, especially like pronunciation. They will pronounce things wrong. They always pronounce things wrong. There is nothing we can do about it. We've normally tried our best to get it to pronounce things correctly. If you don't understand something, absolutely, you can ask. Like if the same way, again, if you don't understand someone talking, you ask for clarification. It is also rude to, if you don't understand something, pretend you understood and move on. It sort of boils down to treat an AAC user the same way you treat everyone else, but be mindful there might be additional communication things you've got to kind of go through. You can also like compliment AAC devices. You can ask questions about it. An AAC user might not want to talk about it, but they might. So you can be curious about it, but if they're like, no, I just want to talk to you about other thing, you're like, okay, cool. Okay, so who is allowed to use AAC? Anyone. It's not a limited resource. You're not taking anything from anyone by using AAC unless you steal someone's AAC device. So don't do that. That's illegal. If you think you would like to use AAC, you should use AAC. It's beneficial for us for it to be normalized in society and more people use it. Why do people use AAC normally? It's normally for disabilities. Sort of talked about, normally disability causes people to not be able to speak. Common disabilities is like autism is one of the big ones that will cause that. We've actually talked to a lot of AAC users who have schizophrenia, and that one of the big symptoms of that people don't talk about is issues with language communication. The cerebral palsy, that one also can cause the cause of things. It can be a combination of, some people have physical disabilities that mean so they physically can't talk, and some people have mental disabilities that mean that they can't talk. Yeah, some AAC users can't talk at all. They will never be able to talk. They're full-time, and they will be full-time AAC users. Some AAC users use it if and when they lose speech. And others use it just to support communication and save energy. They might always be talking, but they might also have an AAC device that they plan out what they're going to say on. They might use it kind of at the same time, that sort of thing. They might be able to fully talk, but they prefer to not talk because it saves energy. There are also reasons able people use AAC. Often people like vocal rest is a really common one. People switch to writing, that is using AAC. Also any medical procedure that means you can't talk. People often use AAC for a while because we like to communicate. Communication's useful and good. Yeah, but you can use it because you're tired, because you don't want to talk, because you don't like talking. It's not actually a fun time. And you can use it because you really like the way the AAC sounds and the way it feels, that sort of thing. Okay, so now, why specifically might this be useful for Alterhumans? A large percentage of the Alterhuman community is disabled. I don't have a statistic. I don't know if there is a statistic on that exists, but I know that a lot of us are disabled, and a lot of us are also specifically neurodivergent, which are obviously the things that can cause you to need AAC in the first place. Also, like, lots of... Wait a second, okay. Lots of people have alter types that don't talk, like, the Sorry, wait. Okay, we're gonna take a drink of water. Reset. Okay. There we go. Yeah, lots of folks have an alter type that might make talking or language harder. Often through the fact that the alter type doesn't talk. Um, Obviously, any sort of object type or non-living type, they don't make sounds at all. Animals don't use the same, may use very different language, no language at all, or communication that is, yeah, just so different from human communication. And even though, like, and for lots of folks that is completely fine and they don't, there's no barrier there, but for other people, especially during shifts, it there's talking, communicating can become harder. Like the same way, if you're really tired, if you speaking a second language is harder than speaking your first language. So being able to not actually have to worry about physically producing the sounds in your voice box is actually really useful and cool. Um, Also, like any like electronic robot machine types may also find species euphoria, but when using AAC devices, it's a big thing in the AAC community. Even though we have in society at large, we have got increasingly good voice technology that can replicate voices that sound realistic. For some reason, in the AAC devices, that technology isn't there. It's there, but they haven't put it in the AAC devices. It's an issue. It's normally an issue. Often a big thing of the voices sound really robotic, and it's normally a problem for people. But if you have like an electronic based type, that may actually be something that could provide a sense of euphoria. And there's also lots of often really strange hyper specific voice like effects you can put on the ASC voices. It's that we'll probably show some off a bit later because they're like strange and specific, and like I think there's one that sounds like talking through bubbles, and it's like this wouldn't be useful for normal communication, but like you can play around with them and see if you can find one that's like interesting. um there's also self-expression. You can make your ASC look however you want, kind of decorated in a way that reflects your your types. You can make symbols. You can make a bunch of symbols that look like you, or you can find non-human symbols. You'll have seen throughout the presentation we've got a lot of symbols that are the the people and characters in them are non-human. Also, lots of high-tech AAC has a soundboard. Soundboards, super fun. You can put vocals on a soundboard. You can put anything on a soundboard as long as it's a noise. Do you have a sound that you are naturally? Are you like us? We are I don't know what type we have storm related. We cannot physically produce storm sounds with our body, but if we put the storm sounds in our AAC device, we can make the storm sounds. We haven't done that, but it's a possibility. We could do it. We might do it. Also, there's actually a really big overlap between the online AAC community and the Alterhuman community. Specifically, online AAC community, offline AAC community is different. And there's sort of a distinction there because the online community is generally accessed by lower support needs people who can access the internet independently. So there's kind of a divide there, and the offline community has a lot more disability carers and parents of disabled people in it. It's sort of a gap that some people exist in between. We only exist in the online AAC community, so we're not going to speak on the offline AAC community. There are so many symbol artists that draw non-human characters. We've got a selection of them here. They are, yeah, these are the symbols. I think that one might be to go with the blue dog. That one's shapeshift. The one in the middle's concept kin. The yellow animal is black and white thinking. The blue dog with the orange button is to begin, and the one at the top is just a quadrobics symbol. You can find a lot of these kind of symbols in the AACIL, which is the Augmentative and Alternative Communication image library. We'll read a little bit. This is from the AACIL website. For people who use symbol-based AAC, the symbols or images they have access to dictate what they can say and how they say it. Most symbol libraries leave out symbols about things that are very important to be able to talk about, like types of pain, disabilities and supports, types of abuse and bigotry, details about adult activities, ways of telling people no, aspects of identities, and specific interests. We've had enough of non-disabled people directing what we can talk about and how we get to talk. At AACIL, every single image is coded into the website by an AAC user. Every single image is drawn by a disabled person. Most images are drawn by AAC users. So we're going to do a little... The AACIL is super cool. It's a great place to find images, especially images that most symbol libraries don't have, because most symbol libraries don't think about the existence of queer people, disabled people for some reason. Even though they are making symbols for disabled people, they often don't include stuff about disability, or Alterhumans. This is the... Oh, we're over here. Okay, this is the AACIL page. It's in NeoCities, and that's we know everyone likes NeoCities. You can see all of the artists down here. This is us. Here we are. And they have a bunch of different things, including, we can find it, concepts, an Alterhumanity, Therianthropy, and Otherkin page. It's not the most extensive, but it's pretty good, like basic words. It's the only symbol library that provides any sort of Alterhuman-based symbols. A lot of these symbol artists have more Alterhuman symbols that aren't on the site, like that they have on their Tumblrs and stuff, which is super cool. But there's like, you'll see a lot of the actual symbols will have the characters in them are just non-human. Like there are a lot of human symbols, but yeah, it's a super cool... Oh wait, there we go. We got it. It's also a little bit annoying to navigate, but it is fine because it's connected to global symbols, which is a bigger symbol library that has more different things, and you can search anything. Oh, they also have a bunch of system stuff. Where is it? Is it in concepts? No. Somewhere in here is like system terms, but we don't know where. So in disability? Yeah, okay, it's in disability. So there's so many, like, they've got way more system terms than they do Alterhuman terms, but they're adding their Alterhuman terms. It's like, again, it's a project. It's a fairly small project, kind of run by a handful of people. So it's often slow to update, but they are trying their best to add as many terms. Okay. Have you been watching this panel and you've thought, that AAC, that sounds really useful. What do you do? So first, we'd suggest trying to work out what you want to use AAC for specifically. Like what is the reason you're using it, as it can kind of like hone in on what kind of AAC would be best. Especially if you have existing disabilities, keep in mind those disabilities and how they could change your access to different kinds of AAC. Writing is the easiest AAC to start using, in our opinion. You can get a free text-to-speech app, or you can get pencil and paper. It is the first AAC we ever used before we really knew of the concept of AAC, when we just couldn't talk sometimes. Just write down. There are lots of free AAC apps, and many have trials. You can download a bunch of them and play around and see what feels right. It's also going to be hard. Symbol-based AAC is difficult to learn. It is worth it, but and also, again, it depends what you want it for. If you regularly have issues talking, putting time and effort into learning symbol-based AAC would be probably, like, there's a high chance that's really beneficial. If, like, a couple of times a year you can't speak, then probably putting the effort into learning symbol-based AAC isn't going to be worth the effort it takes to learn it for kind of the benefit it'll have. But you can also do whatever you want forever, so don't let us stop you. Most devices can be turned into an AAC device. Lots of folks have a dedicated AAC device. You don't need to have that. We use our iPad as our AAC device. It has our AAC apps on it, and it functions in an iPad most of the time. And then we can stick it in AAC mode. There's lots of communication card sets and like low-tech boards available for free online, or you can make your own, or you can buy lots of communication cards online also. And don't be afraid to mix and match different types of AAC. Use whatever feels comfortable in given situations. It's often useful to have a couple of different options. We always carry a notebook and pencil. We always have our communication cards. We normally have our phone, which has good text-to-speech. Remember that all communication is good communication. No communication is better than any other communication, and communication important. And also, generally speaking, in terms of AAC issues and knowledge and information, higher support need folks are more aware and knowledgeable about this stuff, because a lot of them are full-time or almost always full-time AAC users as opposed to part-time AAC users. So they have way more experience. It's a very different experience for me as someone who uses AAC sometimes, normally with close friends and family, compared to someone who has to use AAC all the time with the public. They're going to have way more knowledge about the stuff, about that sort of stuff. So it's demonstration time, which means we're going to go over here. This is our AAC board. Hopefully the sound works. So we've set it up this is like, we've put a lot of work into having it look like the way it does. I don't know if you guys can see our mouse, actually. We're like waving it around, but we prefer having symbols that are non-human looking. So you'll see a lot of our symbols, like symbol for can. That's the Auslan sign for can, and it is like a dog. We drew that one, actually. But a lot of them, we're generally, if there's like variety of options, we'll always choose to use like the non-human. Oh, you guys see the mouse? Amazing. We'll always choose to find like the non-human option for symbols, because that's how we like it to look. So yeah, we can make kind of sentences. Let's do a sentence, shall we?
Hi. We are using AAC.
Yay. So yeah, we've made most of these boards ourselves, which means gathering all of the images and then putting them in and having the text sort of be there. We often like having kind of pre-programmed one of our favorite boards. Actually, it might not be. It's fine. It has a kind of a bunch of advocacy terms around stuff. We have our Alterhuman board. We made most of these symbols ourselves, and then we've never put them anywhere ever. They sit in our Procreate folder, and we've used them ourselves. But we probably should put them up there if folks are interested in having Alterhuman symbols. We are Yeah, so these are not, yeah, we just like went for kind of broad as much you can, and kind of having it so we can mix and match stuff is really helpful. So we can do, wait, okay, how we go?
Voluntary. Shift.
So we can combine things to do things. Also, I think one of we may or may not have made up a couple of these symbols because there weren't symbols. We can't remember. Most of them are from ones we found existingly. Maybe the non-human one, we can't remember. Anyway, we also have, is our plurality board set up? It is, apparently. Someone did that, or we just did it so long ago we forgot, not sure. But again, that's more filled out with specific symbols because there's more symbols available for stuff. We have queer board, it's very pretty. Got all of our stuff. It was a fiction flicker symbol. Yeah, we're a fiction flicker. So that one was important. That one's, is it?
Fiction flicker.
Yeah, so we like, yeah, most of these we found the symbols and then drew versions in using our brush, kind of our style of thing. But you can see we haven't, like, we don't have anything. So this is an otter.
Mental.
Why is it an otter? We didn't, so our ASC board will default to put symbols in there, which is why the button for shift is someone pressing down a shift. Yeah, otters. Otters, it's appropriate because we are an otter. Like it works, but it's just really funny. Okay, we also have things like this. It's like a yes, no, maybe, I don't know. And this, which means we can ping people when they're ignoring us, which you shouldn't do, folks. Don't ignore people. But that's, yeah. And this one has a keyboard, so we can type stuff out, but it's really clunky. So you type and then you go space and then
Hello.
Say the thing. Oh, soundboard. That's what we wanted to do. Okay. We also have stim boards we've put in here. We're showing this off because it's really fun. You can actually stick, at least in Cough Drop, you can actually make like stim boards and put them in there. Soundboard. So most of this is set up, is fun. We can do things like, people might want to turn down volume just a little bit. I think this is loud, but we can do, we're not a kookaburra, but we have that. The wolf howl doesn't work, sadly.
Wolf howl.
You guys are hearing audio, yeah, from the thing. Good. I think we have a birthday song. And it also means we can do this. So, yeah, soundboard is really fun. And honestly, if you just want to have an AAC device and just do soundboard, that's thing. Also, like, just kind of add ambience to situations. We've not finished fully put out our soundboard, but it's just like fun to do stuff. Okay. Now we might see. Is there anything anyone specifically wants to see within this? We might show some of the other voices because this is just like defaulted to our voice, and it's not the one that's normally set at. But is there, before we're gonna go out of speaking mode, is anything anyone wants to see? What's the D&D one? The D&D one, we're not going to click because we often set up boards specifically for events, and the reason we're not going to click that is because that might have our IRL friends' names in it and we can't remember. It's also the reason we're not clicking the me board because that has our IRL chosen name in it and we forgot to remove it before the panel, so we're not clicking on that one. even though it's fun and set up, and we're a little bit naughty about it. But the D&D one we recently played a D&D game where our character couldn't. We were playing a character who only used AAC, so we kind of set that up for that. So we actually didn't end up using cough drop. We ended up using a text to speech one because with the fast gameplay, it was too long to individually type stuff out. So we would type stuff using our other kind of thing, using typing talk, which is a text to speech. You can you've got the sidebar here, which is really useful, which means that you can have stuff always there. So if we go like colors, and then we still have that stuff up there, so we can go straight to keyboard, straight to advocacy, straight to social. So if we go exit speak mode, so this is now we're in out of speak mode, and it means we can go in and edit stuff. So if anyone wants to see a basic kind of edit, you add labels, colors, borders, pictures, actions, a bunch of different actions. Cough drop's really versatile. You can open a website, launch an application, activate a connected tool, and the sound. So this is where you can upload. Is it going to open our file? Yeah, it's going to open our file. You can upload your sounds, or you can record yourself speaking, and you can make it say actually something different to what the button says. Language, kind of inflections, and then some extra stuff. And then if we go exit speak mode, cough drop. Haha, we escaped. So if we go here to our profile, and then we go preferences, we can see some other voice settings. Where is the voices? Okay. This is an interesting situation. They not have... Okay.
Do you like my voice? This is how I sound.
Disappointing. Okay. We're gonna jump across then, because I think for some reason when it's on in the browser, we normally use it as an application. For some reason, when it's in the browser, it doesn't have the options for the different voice things. We'll jump across to keyboard, which I think has the same voice settings. Will it let us escape? They're locked. Unlock. Oh. Settings. Speech. Yes. Okay, we can have a look at some different features talking. This one says dragons. We're going to... Okay, it doesn't like us and it wants us to pay money, which is evil and bad. So sadly, I don't think, as much as we want to know about the dragons... does that say dragon? Are we like... It definitely says dragon. We'll never get to know because it wants us to pay. So there's only access... This one only has Microsoft people. But cough drop normally has a bunch of weird voices. Maybe we'll record some later and send them so people can have a look. I think that's all the things we wanted to show. Yes. We're pretty sure those are actually just like the last names of however they've designated these people as different from the other people. They just like give them human names, and it's actually really kind of a nightmare to deal with. Why? I'm still annoyed that cough drop won't show us different. It normally has different options. Okay. Well, we're gonna keep going also because we only have 10 minutes left. We have some resources, which again we're gonna grab and we're gonna paste in the chat. It has just general information and then also some other symbols and image libraries. You can also find talk a bit about so generally like good information. Northwest Augmentative Communication Society is really good. They've got a great range of information. Assistware is a AAC place that makes AAC devices. AAC often high-tech AAC and specialized AAC devices are ridiculously expensive. Like, it's like a monthly or yearly subscription, and it is so much money. It's like it'll be like it's like ridiculous amounts of money to pay to use an AAC app. There are free ones emerging, but for a long time it's been really expensive. So their information on it is good, but they also want you to buy their AAC app. Communication Hub is good. That's an Australian-based kind of communication advocacy network. If you search your country, they probably have a similar kind of organization. Okay, yeah, cool. The recording. And then Talk Sense is interesting. It's made by someone who worked in like assistive education and then had a stroke and has kept the website running, but is now disabled himself. And then some other kind of symbol and image libraries. Oh no, not question time. About to be question time, which we don't have much time for. Just a quick note, you can also find there's a lot of symbol creators, and especially you can often use people who make symbols for like Discord emotes work as well. Just a note that for some reason a large portion of not as much the AAC community. The AAC community is generally really good, but the Discord symbol community, which has an overlap with the AAC symbol community, the Discord symbol community or emoji community is for some reason largely like anti-endogenic systems or like non-traumatic systems. It's just a thing to be aware of when you're navigating it. A lot of people are good about the fact that like communication is a human right, and your beliefs or identity shouldn't stop you from being able to use symbols that you use to communicate. So some folks will be like, I'm technically against this, but I don't care who uses my symbols. Some people will be like, you can't use my symbols if you're this, and that's bad. But there are 100% generally the AAC community, all of the spaces we've been in have been good and not kind of bad around that sort of stuff. We have a list, it's old, but we do have a list of where is it? Yeah. We've got some, if you want specific the creators, that'll be longer now. I think it's increasingly becoming better, but for a while, like especially when we joined the kind of community, it was like, it's just like, oh, there's just a whole like swath of people we can't kind of, technically speaking, they're like, don't use our symbols. And again, symbols they're being used for communication. If you're making AAC symbols, they're being used for communication, so you kind of have to be like, it doesn't matter who uses them, because if your point is to bring communication, the same way anyone can use symbols from the AACIL, and they will have symbols for everything, and it's not connected to the actual beliefs around like what they believe. Okay, quickly, time for questions. We will see if you ask in panel questions. Oh wait, no, we're gonna keep chat open, and then we're gonna look over here. Yes. Yes, AI is one of the only cases that well, not one of the only cases, and AI in AAC spaces is actually often really useful. It could be definitely implemented in a bad way, but yes, in terms of making voices, again, like most AAC devices, the voices are really old and behind, and so it's like AI voice technology should have been at the forefront of AAC communication. All AAC devices now should have available and free kind of communication things, but they don't. Like, it hasn't kind of happened really at all. Some AAC devices, if you let Apple take your voice and make an AI version of your voice, you can then put it in your AAC app. That means letting Apple have your voice, which is you know, is that worth it? Yeah, synthetic speech is definitely improving. It's just like, can they implement it? They should implement it into the AAC devices at a faster speed, slash at all. Like, lots of them still haven't been updated. Yeah. I feel like we saw questions earlier. We might scroll up and see if folks have had questions in the scary. So much reading.
Take the Phoebe to the park. Okay.
Yeah, okay. If anyone had any questions before they asked, they should ask them again because we can't find them. Yeah, okay. The voice in the background you might have just heard is my grandfather. He was meant to be not disturbing us, but he's gone now. So yeah. Well, it doesn't look like anyone has further questions for if we want to keep going. So we'll run a little bit more. The other thing we can do, he's going now. The other thing we could do actually, if people are interested, is we can look, we can get cough drop up on our iPad. And yeah, we might do that because that's fun. And people can look at the voice, so we can actually show off the voices. We were talking about, like, look at all the cool voices, and then no one can hear any voices because it's decided to be like generic, boring voice only. So we'll grab. Okay, we'll grab. Okay, so I think this should work. Profile. So we won't stream it. You guys are just gonna hear. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Yeah, okay, they've got the different voices. So there's some like normal ones. Like the system voice.
Do you like my voice? This is how I sound.
Is that coming across? Okay. And then so that's called system voice brackets Gordon English AU. There's a bunch of different accents normally. Again, they all sort of sound like that. There is one called Grandpa if we want to hear the voice called Grandpa.
Do you like my voice? This is how I sound.
that's a kind of normal one in terms of sort of thing. And they've got a bunch of them. They've got them with slightly different parts. So that was the Great Britain version. This is the same. Oh no, that's Grandma. Okay, they have one called Superstar.
Do you like my voice? This is how I sound.
So it's the sort of thing we don't like that sort of thing, that kind of voice. But for a lot of people, that I imagine would actually be like possibly closer to their kind of more. You can definitely find a voice, especially if you had previously or are meant to have a mechanical sounding voice. It's like, there's one called cellos.
Do you like my voice? This is how I sound.
Super cool. I'm not entirely sure the practical applications of this. Jester. Like, we would get so annoyed if that was how we sounded all of the time whenever we were talking stuff. There's Bubbles.
This is how I sound.
And Bad News.
Like my voice. This is how I sound.
So yeah, that's sort of, oh, and there's a whisper one. There's a boing. What is boing? Yeah, that's, and then, so that's kind of a selection. And then actually Cough Drop has a fancy version that you need the internet to use, but actually sounds like a human voice. But it takes.
Do you like my voice? This is how I sound.
That's our preferred one we use. But it's annoying because it takes ages to work. That's like the delay there is it processing and talking. So it's kind of like, do we want to talk at a fast manner, or do we want to, sound kind of human-esque? Which we don't have like an ideal voice in like terms of Alterhumanity stuff. I don't know if we talk as like shapeshifter, so it's just like we would ideally kind of just want our voice, but we can't get that. So that's a selection of the voices. There's often really fun ones. Cough Drop, we would really recommend Cough Drop as a symbol-based AAC app. That's the one we've been demonstrating. It is, the only thing about Cough Drop is it has a really long free trial. It's got like 3-month free trial, and then it will tell you need to pay. It's a liar. It's a really good app. It lets you keep using the app for free. It'll be like, you need to pay, and you press okay, and then, or you press something. Here, wait, we'll load it up. And then we will be done. So do that. It will tell you, it'll load, and it will say premium membership required. It has a whole lot of things, and you've got an option that says okay, and an option says that says update account settings. You click okay, and then it lets you use your voice as normal. So that's, yeah. Oh, and some people have asked questions. Oh, we would would you say there's any moral downside to voluntarily using AAC just because you want to? Basically, no. Like, the only moral, if you start speaking over AAC users who have to use it, or full-time users, then yes. But then the issue isn't using AAC, the issue is that you're speaking over disabled people. So it's like, yeah. Again, unless you're stealing AAC devices from people or talking over people, people's lived experience, you can just use AAC. Like, again, technically speaking, AAC is any non-talking communication. Like, texting people is technically speaking AAC. It's not widely considered it. Again, AAC is sort of refers to speaking like alternatively for the purpose of communication instead of talking. If that makes, it's like kind of confusing. It's a little bit complicated, but yeah, the for similar question, you mentioned AAC devices being used for stimming. Is there a stigma there? Yeah, it's really complicated because, yeah, again, AAC devices are often they're used primarily in the disabled community and are often introduced to kids, to like nonverbal kids who can't talk, and their parents have ideas about them learning to talk. And so using AAC as, it's often seen as like, oh, it's not necessary communication sort of thing, often by parents or sometimes by like speech pathologists and that sort of thing. And it's like, it's actually really important and useful. But there's a lot of things that the way AAC uses language is dictated in the way that speaking people's language isn't dictated. With like a lot of AAC devices don't have swearing, anything, kind of any adult topics, stuff to talk about disabilities, stuff to say no. Sometimes they're really, really terribly basic. And again, they're for kids, and these kids don't get to learn, don't get to have the same language as other people. And sometimes like having a limited vocab in those apps for those kids is important because it's overwhelming and they just won't use the device. But like it's also lots of AAC users are adults and are allowed to talk about whatever they want and are allowed to should be allowed to swear and not be censored. So yeah, so a lot of the stimming will just be like pressing the same button again and again and again. It's also a thing with the parents or other people around an AAC user will get annoyed and be like, this is really annoying. It's sort of the same thing as like if someone in real life is stimming and you're annoyed by the fact that they're repeating the same word again and again, like they're stimming out loud. You can be like, hey, that's getting on my nerves. Can you stop, please? But you don't gag them because you're annoyed by it. The same way that's like taking away someone's AAC device is like, well, now they just can't do anything at all. Which, yeah, it's sort of just like treat an AAC device as like an extension of the body is generally the best practice, just because doing anything else kind of you often end up oversetting. Cool. Okay, and that was our panel. Thank you everyone for coming. And now go and watch the Alterhuman spirituality panel. That is where we are going.